Hey everybody, I had a couple of requests to show how I set up cable restraints. So I'm going to do a video on that. If you watch my channel mostly for catches, there'll be no catches in this video. I'm just going to show how I try to make some catches. I'm going to cover some of the tools that I use, the basic equipment I use, how I store it and everything. And I'm going to do a bunch of that stuff right here before we go out on the line and actually make some sets, so I don't have to discuss that. I think I can do a better job of that in here in a controlled environment, but we will go out after this and I'll show making a couple of sets. When I go out to make the sets, I'm not going to show driving the stakes in and all that stuff. I'm just going to show you some locations and then show you how I block them in and stuff. When I first started and the first few years, I was blocking stuff in completely heavily. I mean, about the only open space was for them to stick their head and was right through the cable, and I thought that was the way to go. And I was seeing three types of refusals, basically. They would either just go up to it and walk around the snare, or they would come up to it and just jump over the snare, or they would come up, stop, and turn around and go back the other way. So it basically created just a big bottleneck, and I was still catching stuff, but I was noticing a lot of refusals. With putting less blocking, I have not noticed a refusal yet. We haven't had a ton of snow to check this out. I have noticed though where some have walked by, just maybe snuck underneath or snuck beside something, but they haven't come up and just stopped where I had everything blocked in and made a detour, jumped over, or turned around. So I'm blocking stuff in a lot less now. Maybe still more than I should be, maybe not enough, I don't know. This is still something I'm working on. All right, so let's go over some of the equipment used for actually doing sets. No, I'm stepping on my ground level, that's my T-square. Sorry. Basically need a hammer. This part you don't really need, that's what I use to push my support wire in with. And then a stake driver, and sometimes it's handy to have a little pruning saw or a pair of shears to cut off something that's more than 1/2 inch in diameter here in Pennsylvania, if you're allowed to do that where you're at. Don't go to public ground and start cutting trees down though, to get them out of your way for entanglements. So that's pretty much all you need to carry along with you for tools. You can bang these in really quickly. So I'm going to talk about the support wire first. I saw this last year at the trapping convention. Rich Fowler showed this stuff. Two big things I took off him was this support wire system and shortening up the Fox cables to about 3 feet. This literally cuts down the area you have to worry about entanglements by about 1/3. It's almost, when you go from a 3-foot cable to a 5-foot cable, the area almost triples. Both these support wires are similar. This is like the ground level, my T-square here. Obviously the stake would be driven into the ground. I always put an extra swivel system on them, so they got lots of swivel points. This gets driven into the ground. If it's frozen, it has to go into the hole where you drive the stake, which I had to do today. The ground's pretty frozen. When I first started setting them, I could just drive this into the soft ground with not a problem. It goes in, this stops. This is like an extra anchor point and a stop point. From here to that tip is 28 inches for Coyote, and from here up to that tip is 18 inches for Fox, and it just lets you just enough room to bend it over and hang the snare over your trail, really. And everything's real consistent. It's always 18 inches or 28 inches. You gets into a rhythm, and it's been working out really well. That's really cool. So the short cable and this is working really well. This is really solid compared to just poking it in the ground or something. Okay, for the loop size with the Coyote cable, I know this is one thing I just practiced. I know that this is about 9 inches, almost 8.5 inches. So if I go like this in that cable, I know that's about a 9-inch loop right here. We have to have a stop at 38 inches on our cable anyway. So usually like 2 or 3 inches down from here lets you with about a nice 9-inch loop there. Same thing here off the ground, about 9 or 10 inches. I stretch that out. That's a little bit over my finger spread, so I know that's about 9 or 10 inch loop here. For my Fox loop, if I go like this, I know I'm at about 6 inches. So I like about a 6-7 inch loop for the Fox, and about 6 or 7 inches off the ground. So this is ground level right here, about 6 or 7 inches off the ground. I've been practicing, I've been putting some chin lifts, and also Fowler said about drooping some grass over these. So I've been trying that, just putting some blades of grass over the bottoms of the loops as sort of like a chin lift as well. And that's about the setup. Once you start putting these in, you can put them in quickly. And this is really good, having a consistent way of doing it over and over again. It's a repeatable process. So let's go out in the line, and I'll show you where I'm going to set a couple cable restraints. It's actually where I caught a gray fox a couple days ago. And I'll put one coyote cable before and one fox cable after the catch circle. All right. Okay, so here we are at the 2 tracks. A few days ago I caught a gray, maybe 2 days ago I caught a gray right down on this track right here. I still have a fox cable on this track. I'm going to put a coyote cable here. I've already picked the spot out just from standing right here. I can see it. I've started just walking right down the trail, so I'm going to go down the trail here, get my stakes driven in, and then I'll show you making the set. I'm going to put a coyote cable here, and I'm going to go on the other side of the catch circle and put one more fox cable down here. I haven't seen any coyote tracks here or anything yet, but never know, one might cruise on through here. So I get down here, drive in my stake, and I'll turn you back on. Okay, so I got my stake driven in right here. I had to put it on this side. I could not put it on this side right over here. There's a tree right here, definite entanglement issue. So I stake over on this side of the trail, and I stay far enough away from that tree. I always put my support wire on top of my plastic baggie. Everything's in the baggie. It's amazing how easy it is to lose stuff. I've lost a lot of those support wires just pulling it out and laying it down, and I couldn't find it literally. I know it's there, but I can't find it. So I put it on top of here. So I'm going to put my support wire in. I'll show you that. I've also added just a couple pieces of goldenrod right here. And I'm going to put a couple more where I drove my stake driver in the ground right here. Grab my support wire. Again, it's 28 inches for the coyote right here. The ground's pretty frozen, so I'm going to be pushing it into the hole where I drove my stake. Go down to where that bend hits. I know that I'm at the same height as every other time. I'm starting to like these supports, collars, whatever you're going to call them, whammies. Set my loop pretty much. Slide that in there. Get that so that it's hanging right over that trail. And now, other than adding a couple of pieces of goldenrod, right here, I'm about done. I got about 9 or 10 inches off the ground. It's good height for a coyote. I'm gonna add like maybe one more piece right here to block this area off. Not a lot. I'm gonna add one more piece there, and not gonna try to crowd it in too much. I'm gonna hang something right here. I'll show you when I'm done. I hope this shows up all right. I just draped a couple pieces of grass over there. I think it works sort of like a chin lift. Now a fox absolutely could just zip right through there, out of problem. I'm gonna miss this completely. But I don't want to catch a fox in this. I have, but my goal is to catch a coyote, have it coming down, and try to block it as little as possible anymore. I used to really crowd these in and stuff, and I don't want the animal to slow down. I just want it to keep rolling on through. See them little bits of leaves there, pick its head up and stick it in there and keep on cruising. We'll see what happens. I'm trying the minimal blocking this year. Catching a few critters. Let's get on down the trail here and we'll put in one for fox. Okay, the catch circle from the gray fox is right there. You should still be able to see it where the snow ends there. That's where I caught the gray fox the other day. But right down here, probably, I don't know, 20 feet down the trail, I will put my support wire probably on this side this time. It'll hide it up in those goldenrods, and then once I get my loop set, I'll pull some of this grass over a little bit, not a lot, maybe stick a piece of goldenrod right here. I'm gonna get my stake driven in first. Okay, got my stake driven right here. I've already put a hole. Like I said, the ground is frozen. Throw my stake driver here. I'm gonna put like a piece of goldenrod or two here, and just pull this brush in a little bit. After I get my cable hung, drive the support wire in. Down to where it stops. Pull a little bit of this grass over here. Always been here. Whoop. Videoing this can be challenging sometimes. Hopefully that's still in focus. I'm just going to pull some of that grass here, try to help guide them into the loop. Maybe put one piece of goldenrod here, or two. Put a little tuft of grass stuck in that hole. Just enough to steer them through that loop, and maybe one piece of goldenrod right here. When the ground's frozen, it's good to have a driver. Make yourself a little pilot hole. One piece there. That one's actually pretty blocked in, more than I want anymore, but I'm gonna call it right now. A couple blades of grass over the bottom. That's what I'm trying for my chin lift on a lot of them. Not all of them. Some of them I put a little stick here. Finish set pretty much. I can pretty much get my fist through there with a little bit of space on each side. It might be a little big for a gray. Good size for a red. I'm about 6-7 inches off the ground. And that hopefully is not blocked in too much. Give it a couple days and see. We're supposed to get a snowstorm, and that's about it. That's all I do for the cables. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate everybody's support. Have a blessed day, everybody.